Good evening, everyone. I'm Ruchita, your host for tonight. Welcome to today's session of LIV360. Today, we are going to understand carbs. We all know that carbs are essential. However, which is the right carb and how much should we consume? We have these questions around what is the essence of GI and GL in carbs, and what is the role of fiber for our gut health. To understand this and much, much more, we have two esteemed speakers with us tonight. It is my honor and privilege to invite Farooq Tarapur to start the session. He, ladies and gentlemen, is an Olympian, two-time world champion in sailing, and has had an active sporting career of 40 years. He's won innumerable awards, including the Chhatrapati Shivaji Award and the Arjuna Award. He's a flag bearer on this journey with the mission Har Ghar Healthy, Har Ghar Medicine Free. Let's welcome him on this virtual stage.
Thank you, Ruchita, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this exciting Monday session. I hope you've all had your dinner, done some exercise, and basically started thinking a little bit about your holistic health. Today, I'm going to cover just 2 points. And one of the points is that if you're really looking after, for holistic health, try and think about which social community you're connected to. The whole purpose of making this community is to get you connected to a group of people who can give some positive energy and some good thought into your mind so that you start making healthier choices. It was strange and surprising to me that when I checked all these blue zones, whether it was Okinawa in Japan, or Icaria in Greece, or Sardinia in Italy, or Nicoya in Costa Rica, or Loma Linda in the USA, one of the common factors that came out through all these, blue zones was they all had a good, positive social circle. You got to ask yourself, who's your positive social circle? And who's guiding you and who's leading you to take the right decisions so that you're not over-dependent just on medication. The second point I want to mention today is that when you put your food on the plate, try and educate yourself as a difference between simple carbs and complex carbs. Try and differentiate between whole grain and refined grain. And if you can make these good choices, if you can shift from refined grain to whole grain, you would be doing yourself a great service. You will be encouraging people in your family, to shift to these whole grain foods, and that will have a tremendous impact on your health. Today, you're very fortunate that you're going to be hearing from Deepika, who had no concept about this whole grain approach. And once she made a decision that, she wants to really make some impact on her health, after making that decision, she understood what this difference is. And today you're going to be listening from her. So listen to her very carefully, because what she has to have a significant impact on your holistic health. Over to you, Deepika.
Thank you, Farooq. Thanks a lot. Ruchita, I need sharing rights. I am not able to share.
Sure, just
Good evening, everyone. So, shuru se shuru karte hain. Thanks a lot, Farooq, for setting the tone of the evening. Why do I say shuru se shuru karte hain? I probably want you to go back in time when you were kids and, some 30, 40 years ago. The concept of food was very simple. कि चपाती होनी चाहिए, दाल होनी चाहिए, सब्जी होनी चाहिए, सैलेड होनी चाहिए, एंड जो फैमिलीज वेजिटेरियन या नॉन वेजिटेरियन है उनके लिए कुछ नॉन वेज होना चाहिए. The concept pretty much remains the same even as of today. It's just that because of the awareness, the social media awareness, people are, reading more, people are researching more. So we are now identifying and classifying. Thank you, Ruchita. Identifying food in terms of macronutrients, micronutrients, proteins, carbs, complex carbs, simple carbs, fiber, etc., etc. It isn't as complicated as it sounds. But yes, it certainly will make a lot of sense to understand कि जो हम खा रहे हैं या जो हम आपको recommend करते हैं, जो हम आपको prescribe कर रहे हैं या guide कर रहे हैं, वो हम क्यों कर रहे हैं? Because जो लाइफस्टाइल आज से 30 साल पहले 30 years back our parents and our grandparents essentially used to have, our lifestyle today has significantly changed. The physical activity has significantly gone down. The empty calories or nutrient deficient food options are pretty much available. Quick, ready to eat food is available, but how good or bad is it for our body? And like Farooq rightly said, it is all about spending a few seconds, because once you have attended these sessions over and over again, once you've been on the program, you've been on part, active participant on the group, I think within 30 to 45 days, you really will not, after 30 to 45 days, you really will not be spending too much time in understanding what is going on your plate. आप एक प्लेट देखोगे, आप randomly भी अगर एक प्लेट देखोगे, and you will be able to gauge that does it have sufficient amount of protein, does it have sufficient amount of complex carbs, fibers, etc., etc. So yes, we'll be learning about carbohydrates and dietary fiber. Throughout my life, the first 40 years, I have, been a hardcore carb fan. And when I say carb fan, I'm talking about simple carbohydrates. And every time, the concept was of losing weight or gaining a better health, the one thing that came to mind was, okay, I'll have to give up all that I love. So all of that changed when I was a part of this community, when I attended sessions like these, we are conducting as a student. We were there on that group for about 100 days. Every single day, understanding what are we putting on our plate. So let's go forward and understand what are these. So basically your carbohydrates, protein and fats, these are called our macronutrients. Micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals. We'll be covering it in another session, another day. Why is it that, repeatedly we talk about having less percentage of carb on your plate in any meal, but more a percentage of protein and more percentage of fiber? This is a pictorial representation. Okay, how does blood glucose break down or gets absorbed in your body when you consume different types of food? So as you can see, carbohydrate gives a sudden spike in your blood glucose, and that spike suddenly comes down as well. So it's a quick spike up and then down. But protein and fats, they take much longer to be broken down by your body, hence giving you a satiety feeling, a feeling of fullness for a longer period of time, hence delaying your eating or binging onto snacks mid-meal, between two meals, essentially. Now, what are carbohydrates? Scientific term में, dictionary definition में, they are organic compounds composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Simple layman terms में, they are the biggest source of energy for your body, especially for your brain and your muscles. And also that these are essential nutrients which include sugar, fibers, and starches. Now, what exactly, how does, our body process carbohydrates? Why is it important? What role does it play in our body when we consume a carbohydrate? Whenever you consume a carbohydrate, it is in your gut, it is broken down into simple sugars. This sugar gets absorbed into your bloodstream as blood sugar, जिसको हम glucose भी कहते हैं. This glucose is sent into your body cells by the hormone called insulin. Now, what happens is, why do we say blood sugar is rising? When enough insulin is not being processed and manufactured or created in your body, that's the time that this glucose, which is there, this sugar, simple sugar, which is there in your blood, is unable to reach your cells because of absence of insulin. And hence, because this simple sugar is present in your blood and it keeps rising because it is not reaching its ultimate destination, which is your cells in your body, we say कि आपका blood sugar बढ़ गया है. So you really need insulin as a rider sitting on, piggyback. So basically, these simple sugars, they piggyback on insulin to reach into every cell of your body and give that energy to that cell so that the normal bodily functions are conducted by your body. These cells use glucose as fuel that isn't used The one that is not used as fuel, it later gets stored as fat. So if you are consuming more of simple carbs or more of these, glucose or energy, which is not being consumed by your body, then you will start having fat deposition. So calorie deficit की जो हम बात करते हैं repeatedly, even on the group and other sessions, that's exactly what we mean, that whatever calories and energy that you're consuming every single day, if it is more than what is being burnt by your body through different processes of NEAT, EAT, and TEF, etc., which we've covered in other sessions, when there is excess of input vis-a-vis the output, you will have this glucose being stored as fat. However, when there is a deficit, when the input is less than the output, that's when you will start losing weight in the long run. Now, carbohydrates दो तरह के होते हैं, simple होते हैं, complex होते हैं. Growing up, I personally had no clue. All I knew कि okay, there is something called as carbohydrates, but carbohydrates are not our enemy. What time you consume, how much of it you consume, and what type of carbohydrate you consume is what you need to understand. So simple carbohydrates are basically your sugar-based substances. You could have honey, you could have sugar, you could have sugar-based drinks, etc. कॉम्प्लेक्स कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स होते हैं जिनमें थोड़ा सा फाइबर होता है, जिनमें स्टार्च होती है. इनके एग्जांपल्स वील जस्ट कवर. Now, what are the benefits of carbohydrates? Why are they essential? I will be, probably the first one in the room to raise my hand when I was on this journey of weight loss. I was thinking that carbohydrates are my enemy and I just need to be on a zero carb diet. It is later, much later, you realize that completely depriving your body of carbohydrates can have long-term, lasting, and very hazardous effects to your body. So you need to understand what kind of carbs you need to consume. Because if you're consuming the right kind of carbohydrates, which has a lot of fiber, which has sufficient amount of starch that is required by your body, which is basically complex carbs, it will significantly help you in weight management. It will help you lose weight sustainably, and it will not come back. It will help you get a better metabolic health. Your body will burn more calories doing the same amount of activity so as to increase the output of calories being burned. It will help you maintain your blood sugar levels significantly and also boost your heart health. How will this happen? Now, before we do that, let's understand the current trend. What is the current scenario? Now, carbohydrate dominated plate recommendation is that 1/4 of the total intake should come from whole grains. Now, we've been using a lot of refined or polished grains in our household. Those could be polished dals, those could be, items like maida and, very fine without the choker gehu, which the roti is, of course, very soft and fluffy, but it is devoid of all the essential fibers. Average Indian household gets almost half of their total calories from whole grains, which is actually a good idea. Calorie share of cereal is as high as 70%, especially in rural areas where people focus more on dal and sabzi and less on just chapati. They would probably look at having a bajra roti or a millet roti or a bhakri, etc. Processed food accounts for nearly 10% of average calorie intake, which is, trust me, even though it's 10%, it is very, very high. And this is a very conservative number that we are talking about. If you look at average households around you, this is much higher. Urban households in the highest income group consume 30% of their, like I just said, like 30% of their daily calories from processed food. So if on an average, you're consuming about 15 to 1800 calories and 600 calories are coming from processed foods, they have lot of non-essential, rather harmful, high dose, quantities of sodium, high quantities of palm oil, etc., which is an absolute no-no, even if you are not wanting to lose weight. But if you want a good health for yourself and your family, this is something that you need to completely avoid. Okay, now just a comparison between the complex and the simple carbohydrates. Complex are made of long chain sugar molecules vis-a-vis simple, which are made of short chain sugar molecules. Complex carbs will take much more time in your body to get digested. So your gut will be working for much longer. Hence, the longer time it takes to digest, the longer you will feel fuller and satiated. So you will not grab onto that packet of, snacks or namkeen or whatever. Vis-a-vis simple carbs, they get digested very quickly and you will start feeling hungry or you will start having the craving to eat something more much sooner. Complex carbs, they actually increase your blood sugar very slowly vis-a-vis simple carbs, which give a sudden spike like we just saw in the earlier slide. Complex carb makes you feel fuller for longer. This simple carbs gives you a crashing feeling. Complex carbs are usually less processed. Simple carbs are highly processed oftentimes. Complex carbs they are very high in dietary fiber. Simple carbs are low in dietary fiber. Complex carbs improves your metabolism. It improves your performance, whereas simple carbs actually lowers because they are, they carry those empty calories. Suddenly you will feel a rush of energy and suddenly you will be like, completely energy deprived and you'll be, you will not be able to perform at the same speed and agility that you would if you are consuming a complex carb based meal. Complex carb is very high in antioxidants and minerals. Simple is very low. Complex carb, good example is carrots, your whole grain bread, your whole grain cereals, bananas, oats, your brown rice. And simple carbs is your sodas, your cakes and pastries and cereals and fruit juices, etc., which you should completely stay away from. So coming to another very interesting topic of glycemic index versus glycemic load. Up until I was a part of this entire program, all I knew was कि इसका glycemic index बहुत high है, ये नहीं खाना चाहिए. Now, what exactly is glycemic? There are a lot of foods that have a much lower glycemic load and which are very, very, diabetic people friendly and normal average human being who has no lifestyle challenges. We need to focus more on glycemic load than glycemic index. So we have a classic example here where we are talking about a watermelon. Even though its glycemic index is 580, the glycemic load, which is actually the parameter that you need to measure in terms of what kind of spike will it result into your insulin. Its glycemic load is only 5, which is one of the lowest. It is nutrient dense. It has, it's quite water based. So it's a very good fruit to eat, even by people who are, having high blood sugar levels. By definition, let's understand GI kya hai, GL kya hai. Glycemic index is a ranking system that measures how quickly carbohydrates in food raise your blood sugar level. So बेसिकली जो हम बात कर रहे थे सिंपल कार्ब्स की जिनमें ऑलरेडी बहुत जल्दी शुगर स्पाइक होता है, दैट इज समथिंग दैट यू नीड टू अवॉइड. It is compared to a reference food, usually glucose or white bread. They are taken as standard. Its scale is from 0 to 100. Vis-a-vis glycemic load kya hai? It is basically, it considers both the quantity and the quality of the carbohydrate that you're consuming in a particular food. It provides a more accurate assessment of impact of carbohydrates on your blood sugar levels compared to the glycemic index. So next time you are probably wanting to have a food or you're wanting to have, a bowl of, any of your favorite snack, it's a good idea to, ask or find out what is the glycemic index versus what is the glycemic load. Now, this is, we have a little nomenclature which says a low GI is anything which has, glycemic index between 0 to 55. A medium is between 56 to 69, and anything which is 70 or higher, which is a very high GI load. When we talk of glycemic load, 1 to 10 is low, 11 to 19 is medium, and 20 and above is high. So this in itself should tell you, should explain it to you that why are we focusing on glycemic load. Again, a pictorial representation that when you have a low glycemic index food, how is it going to release insulin in your body? What is it going to, is it going to cause a sudden spike or a very slow, a very, what do you call, a systematic release of insulin? So on left, you have something which has a low glycemic index. So it will have a slow release of insulin in your body. Whereas if you have a high glycemic index, it will be a sudden spike and then a sudden shutdown, which is not good. It greatly impacts your pancreas health and one needs to watch out for that. We've just picked up few items for you. You can, do a research. You can talk to your health buddy. You can talk to Farooq and Anaita over the next 30 days. Whatever you are eating, if you can share your meal plates, yes, I will repeat that. I'll reiterate that. When you share your meal plates, it will help you get a better understanding. as to which food items have a high glycemic load, which have a low glycemic load, and you can actually enjoy eating. So yes, you can take a screenshot of this, but this is a very limited number of items that we have, just to for you to understand. Like if I talk about a baked potato, which is given here, even though its glycemic index is 85, its glycemic load is 26, which is significantly low. You talk about carrots, you talk about bananas. When you look at their glycemic load, it is much lesser. Having said that, this does not mean that one can just keep gorging upon, the brown bread or the whole wheat bread, even though its glycemic index is low. At the end of the day, carbs, whether they are simple or complex, they need to be consumed in a controlled portion. And you will get a better understanding of that if you start sharing your plates on the group and get Farooq and Anaita's guidance. One of the rice that which are extremely low on GI glycemic index, we would really focus or really stress upon is the BFAC low GI rice. This you can enjoy having rice. I know a lot of people, they love their rice. It's very difficult for them to give up on the rice, but it's better to have a category of rice which will not harm, which will not impact your pancreas health, which will not cause a sudden spike in your sugar levels. So this is a good option. You can order it online yourself. You can speak to your health buddy. They can help you order this. Now, how do carbs help us set our body clock? If you've been regular with these sessions, we have been constantly reiterating in all the sessions about it's all about being in alignment with your body's natural clock. The other way to say is the circadian rhythm. As long as you are functioning, as long as you are going from your daily schedule one day to the other, keeping in mind your body clock, trust me, it will reward you exponentially in the years to come if you can be in alignment with that. How does carb help you? It certainly improves your work efficiency. It gives you more energy. It will not tire you easily. It'll reduce your fatigue, your sleepiness. Your stress hormones will be significantly reduced. The effects of workload will be significantly reduced if you're consuming the right kind of complex carbs. Your improved insulin sensitivity, satiety, and metabolic health, we've already discussed that just in the slides before. Yes, your improved insulin response will be much better if you are having the right kind of carbs. Calorie control, yes, like I said, portion control and calorie control really, really is the key in whatever you're having, whether it's your protein, whether it's your carbs, whether it's your fats or fiber. Improved fat oxidation, which is very good for your metabolic health. Your better mental performance. Why do we feel sapped out at the end of the day when we've been, in the office, probably eating out of the cafeteria, eating out processed food, or eating out, instant food, which are available in, corporate offices and canteens, etc. Because they don't give you satiety for long. They will give you a sudden spike of insulin, and there will be a sudden, drop in that, which will definitely affect your cognition as well as your mental performance. So yes, if you're consuming the right kind of carbs, it'll help in your better alertness, better responsiveness, and improved memory as well. Now, how much should you take? Oftentimes people ask, how much is enough? Yes, it certainly, if I talk about a certain age, it depends from man to woman. It also depends upon the amount of physical activity you're doing every single day. It also depends upon what lifestyle challenges are you facing at the moment. What is your age bracket? Yet, this is, just a average breakup of how much should you consume. You can take reference from it, but if you feel that you really need to understand what should be the exact that you need to speak to Farooq and Anayata, share your details with them, and they'll be able to guide you. So men and women, men who have a sedentary lifestyle, dietary fiber can be about 30 grams per day. Moderate, if you have a moderate category of work, you're a little bit into some activity, it could be 40. If you're into a lot of physical activity based routine, then it can be 50. Similarly, for women, it will be 25, 30, and 40 for sedentary, moderate, and heavy kind of lifestyle. Now, coming to fibers, like we just discussed, what kind of fibers are available in our food, complete food palette, food platter. So you have soluble as well as insoluble fibers. It is very self-explanatory. The soluble fibers are dissolvable in water. The insoluble they do not dissolve in water. Soluble fibers promote satiety. They will help you reduce your cholesterol levels. It will really support your gut flora. It improves your blood sugar levels. It is found in apples, beans, nuts, oatmeal, sweet potatoes, and your lentils, your dals. It'll help food move through the gut at the right pace. So gut motility, the speed and the manner in which the food moves in your gut is extremely important, and it'll feed the beneficial bacteria in your gut. Now, insoluble fibers also has its benefits and advantages. Yes, it does not dissolve in water, but it promotes laxation. It will support your intestinal health. It is found in whole wheat, leafy greens, quinoa, brown rice, and seeds. It creates a bulk in your stool. It will help in your bowel health, especially people who have problems like constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, etc. You need to figure out which of the two fibers you need to regularly take. Now, the Neutralite fiber is what we strongly recommend, especially if you're joining today or you've recently joined and you're going through the gut reset phase. Very, very important, and thereafter as well, because it contains resistant maltodextrin, which promotes the growth of the bifidobacterium. It provides a lot of satiety. It is beneficial in blood glucose and lipid level regulation. It also has inulin. Now, these are certain benefits of inulin and partially hydrolyzed guar gum. You can go through these. You can take a screenshot. In totality, yes, it is promoting satiety. It is taking care of your gut flora. It is taking care of nutrient absorption. It is taking care of movement of your food within the gut, maintaining, balancing your blood glucose, suppressing harmful myocollectic bacteria, etc. So yes, we strongly recommend that if you have not started having it, I would strongly urge you to please buy your fiber today and get started with it. And within the first 2 weeks, you will feel the difference and your gut will actually thank you. Now, how does fiber actually help gut health? It's a balanced network of our gut microbiome is a balanced network of bacteria, good and bad. We know about bacteroidetes and firmicutes. So these are the good and the bad bacteria. When we come into this world, the good bacteria is about 85% in our gut, the bad bacteria is 15%. But due to the lifestyle that we follow, sedentary and plus, the kind of habits that we have, the bad bacteria, which is firmicutes, goes up by 85, and the good bacteria, which is bacteroidate, comes down to about 15 to 20%. And the whole concept of having putting you through the gut reset phase is to restore that balance, is to restore the factory settings with which you came on this earth. So yes, this fiber helps you create a balanced network of good and bad bacteria. It helps increase the nutrient absorption. Now, it is one thing to say that I'm having a very nutrient-rich food, but if that nutrient-rich food is not getting absorbed in your gut and in your body the right way and is getting eliminated as it is, then there's really no point of having that. So you also need to focus on eating the right kind of foods and supplements which will enable and enhance the absorption of nutrients in your body. It also acts as a prebiotic. What is a prebiotic? It is basically food for the beneficial bacteria. So you have probiotics. So fiber acts as food for the probiotic to function optimally. It lowers your cholesterol and your blood sugar levels. It lowers your inflammation and helps in balancing your gut hormones. Dietary fiber passes through the system and it cleanses. So it's basically completely cleaning your colon, cleaning it of, all the kind of toxins and harmful elements that are present and which take a long time to get eliminated from our body on an average, if I talk about an average study. What is the role of fiber on our body clock? As per studies, breakfast rich in fiber has a very positive impact on what? On your next food intake. So the richer your food, your breakfast is in fiber, the lesser will be the requirement for you to actually snack in between before lunch. And you will feel hungry at the right time to take your lunch. It will not delay, it will not prepone your lunch timings. It will give you a sensation of satiety. It will definitely help maintain your glucose levels, and it delays gastric emptying. So yes, why is it giving satiety? Because it is taking longer to be processed in your gut and to move to your, the next, which is intestine. So it will give you satiety for longer. So it will delay the gastric emptying to a longer period of time so that you don't get the urge to eat something between your meals. These are certain healthy swaps. For somebody like me, I think if, 2 years ago, if somebody would have asked me that, Deepika, if you are dying tomorrow, what is the last meal that you'd like to have? And I would say aloo parantha. So yes, I have grown up having my craze for paranthas. It is good to have them if you can have them in moderation. You need to know at all ages, you need to know what works best for your body. But I personally feel that after a certain time in life, it is very, very important that you take more care of your body as to what it needs rather than what you want to eat. So yes, you can switch if you're a paratha eater like me 7 days a week, it'll be a good idea to switch to probably rewarding yourself on Sundays by having an aloo paratha if you followed the right diet on the 6 days, 6 breakfast days with a paneer or dal or veg paratha or some form of chila, of some dal chila full of vegetables, some form of uttapam, etc. Your breakfast cereals, the ones which are pre-processed with, sugar, honey, oats, etc., etc. They look very fancy. Yes, they taste very good, but they only taste good. And beyond that, their nutrient value is very, very low. And they come with a lot of harmful processed elements which are not good for your body. So a simple homemade suji ki kheer or dalia or porridge or namkeen dalia or masala oats made at home with a lot of veggies is a very good switch. Switch from white bread to probably, I would rather recommend not even a multigrain, probably a sourdough bread, which is very easily, you can, bake it at home as well. Switch your vada pavs to idli sambar, white rice to BFAC or brown rice, ice creams to yogurts, etc., etc. These are some switches. If there is something that you are facing a challenge with, that there's something that you want to have and you want to know and alternate to that, the best way to do that will be to post your question on the group, because I'm sure it will be answered by one of our experts and it will give you a good, healthier, and I'm sure equally tasty alternate to what you want to have. Now, food pairings, very, very, very essential for you to understand that whatever is on your plate, how are you pairing? What are you eating with what? So pairing high GI foods, high glycemic index food with protein and fiber. So in case you're having something which you know is a high GI glycemic index food, please have a lot of protein and fiber, because that will help in breaking down, not just breaking down that high GI food, but it will also, protein and fiber will balance the sudden spike in releasing of insulin. It will balance it out, it will delay it. Using whole grains and legumes, please switch to millets. We've always been a millet pradhan country. Adding non-starchy vegetables is a very good idea. Use low GI alternates, which we've already discussed, and opt for mindful cooking techniques. Uh, I've heard people, we've also advocated till we started using Queen, which is one of our cookwares. I always thought that it is the oil or the ghee, whatever, which, we use, which makes the food tasty. And that's how you cook food. Little did I know that the sabji actually tastes as good without the oil, or even with just 1 teaspoon of oil, because it is a cooking medium. It is not food. So I was cooking, for me, the cooking medium, whether it's ghee, whether it's mustard oil, whether it's any form of oil, it used to be one of the ingredients in my food. I had to make a deliberate effort to understand it's just a cooking medium. It is required only when you feel that you cannot do without it, and just in a limited quantity. So yes, they are very dense in calories. They have practically no taste. And, you can probably add just half a katori water while cooking your sabzi to give it, help cook it smoothly. You don't need to add that much of oil to make it tastier or easy to cook. It took a while for me to learn that, but I think just learning that and adapting that practice has brought about a lot of benefits to me and my family here. So how can you increase your dietary fiber intake? Choose whole grains over refined grains, like we earlier said. You have figs, you have pulses, you have sweet potatoes. Eat more fruits and vegetables. Please, please, please have your salad at least 15-20 minutes to half an hour before your food. That's even better, because it may, gives you a feeling of fullness. You will not overeat. And always keep in mind that it takes about average 20 minutes for your gut to send a signal to your brain that I'm full. Oftentimes what we do is we continue eating because we are usually in front of screens, and we continue eating till the time we're literally up full till here. And 20 minutes later is when we feel ke ab to khatam hai, matlab, because you've actually overeaten then much more than what you are supposed to. So if you take your salad about half an hour, 15-20 minutes before, so you're almost half full by the time you actually sit down for your meal, and you will probably eat lesser quantities. Snack on nuts, seeds, dry fruits, or popcorn. I would rather say that don't snack at all. There is a time in the morning along with your breakfast when you can have your nuts and your seeds. Restrict it to that so that it gives you better it'll give you it's a better habit to follow rather than snacking in between. Add beans, lentils, or peas to your soup, salads, and casseroles. It'll increase the dietary fiber. Sprinkle some oat bran, flax seeds, sesame seeds on your yogurt, cereals, or smoothies. I personally try to sprinkle some sesame seeds or black sesame seeds on your salads, etc. You don't even realize, and you consume good omega-3, good fatty acids. And yes, drink plenty of water. I mean, you may be having the best and the most nutritious food or plate on the earth, but if you're not having sufficient water, not with your meal, please don't have water with your meal. Maybe half an hour after you've had your meal, and of course in the morning, 2 to 3 liters of water, sip by sip, during the first half of the day. Have plenty of water because it helps in motility of the food inside your body once it is getting digested. And finally, we love to end our sessions with shine. Start every day with your gratitude and optimism. It pays to, smile at whatever life throws at you. It pays to start the day on a right and a gratitude, with a gratitude. Uh, and also end your day with gratitude. It really pays. Have your daily nutrition. Have your daily nutrition for your body. Have your daily nutrition for your mind. It is equally important. You are the as per the 5 people that you associate with. Whom are you listening to? Whom are you talking to? Whom are you interacting with? So you need the right nutrition for your mental health as well. This group has given me a lot of inputs and keys and tips and tricks to have the right nutrition for my body and for my mental health as well. Intentions, visualize and set clear intentions. I'm sure joining the group was a deliberate action activity from your end. There is a purpose with which you've joined us on this group. Help you achieve that goal if you have written down that goal somewhere. Learn something new every day, increase your knowledge base, share it with the world, make that difference in somebody's life so that somebody says thank you to you for adding that value to their lives. Exercise daily, choose whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you happy. I've never been too much of a cardio and gym kind of a person, but yes, I think working out at home works good for me. Walking works good for me. Going up and down the stairs works good for me. Swimming works good for me. So identify, if it's dance, do that. Put on the best music that you want and dance for 30 to 40 minutes in a day. It'll release some real good, happy hormones for you. And finally, this was my takeaway from this community. It has rewarded me not just in terms of the physical appearance, it has rewarded me immensely in terms of understanding how my food should look like. Today, when I get a call at probably 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the evening from one of my teammates who are there on the group, that I'm heading home. In fact, today I got a call that I'm heading home. I usually finish my dinner by 6 o'clock, but I'm reaching home at 7:30. Did not have my dinner. What is the best possible dinner? I could have not foreseen a year or 2 years ago that somebody would call me and understand what exactly should they have for dinner. So yes, the amount of understanding I have got about food and nutrition being a part of this community is phenomenal. Love to share it with all of you. And I hope that today you've been able to understand the fine difference between your simple and complex carbs, and you will choose to pick up the right food next time you're plating your plate. And I hope you will share it with us so that we can guide you accordingly. Well, that's all from my side. Over to you, Ruchita.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for explaining that so wonderfully and sharing your story. As always, we are all mesmerized. I see Commander Vijay, your hand is up. Please unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi, can I ask?
Sure, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, is it possible for you to WhatsApp a list of this complex carbs which all consist of? When you went through the slides and all, it was a little faster to read them. I think so. There are two, three slides which are very important. For your children. If it can be put in a group or something, it will help you.
Sure, we'll do that, sir.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also, glycemic index, the low load also, there also it can be just put on which are the items, etc. It just helps in understanding much better.
But that's a very limited number of items. We'll certainly share what we had just shown you. But I think, and Farooq can of course, add to this. It's a better idea that when we share our meal plates, and that's the time if you can share it on the group. If you do that for a period of say 2 to 3 weeks, you will get a better understanding of what your meal, whatever you're having in your meal. Repeatedly, when you share your plates or when people share their plates and they ask which is high in glycemic index versus glycemic load, because otherwise the list of food items is endless. But what can be done is that when you share your plate, we can just say that, okay, this is a good low glycemic load plate, what it looks like. We'll share what
Yeah,
presentation.
that, but if the list is there, then when you're eating your food, then you can be little conscious, see, this is right.
Farooq, would you like to add to that?
No, perfect. What you said is just perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Anybody else has got any questions, they can raise their hands. I see not. Thank you, everyone. You've been a great audience. See you in the next session. Good night. Stay safe.